All right. First, I want to congratulate all the inductees, and it's great to see people. I'm an older guy, so I watched all you guys play, and I watched Buck manage, and I, the Erskine family and the Joe Black family. I feel bad because Dad's got a lot of those rings at their expense. But and the other thing is, I don't know if you know this, but my father, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. His Hall of Fame speech, he thanked his mother and father, baseball, and his whole family in 57 seconds. So you have nothing to worry about from my end of it. He, my father would usually come to these dinners and he would say three words. He would first say, "Thanks for making this night necessary." And then he would start to cry. And he would never get through his speech because he never understood why people felt the way they did about him. For years, we tried to tell him, I said, "Dad, you don't realize that just a wave or a hello made a person's day, a month, a year." I travel around the country and I hear people, my guys my age, all said, "Your father was the best." And I said, "Where are you from?" He goes, "Cleveland, Detroit." And I go, "Friend, they used to beat the crap out of you." And he goes, "Yeah, but," he says, "he beat us with respect. He never bragged about it. He just did his thing." And his whole life was being so humble, and all he cared about was playing baseball. And that was his whole life. He would, his family and baseball. And I said, "Well, what would you have, why did you play baseball? Why did you want to do that?" And he goes, "Because I didn't have to work." And that was his answer. So I'm going to leave you with everything else has been said. As Donnie said, everybody said all his accolades, his statistics, and everything. So I'm going to leave you with that and just say that baseball, what this dinner is about, is what drove my father. And because of baseball, it made him the man that he was. And I'm now going to turn it over to my daughter. She's going to tell you about the museum. But because, and we had a documentary out, and I used to be Yogi's oldest son. Now I'm Lindsay's father.
Don't leave. Don't leave. Stay here. I actually wrote a speech, but people have said everything that I've written down, so I'm not going to say anything. It was who said that about the at-bats? It was 656 plate appearances, 597 at-bats. He hit 322, 28 home runs, and struck out 12 times. It's totally crazy. He's got a bunch of records that I still think will never be broken. The 1,430 RBIs by a catcher, I think, is pretty amazing. Still has World Series records that I don't think will ever be broken, and I'm really biased, but yes, I do think that he was the greatest catcher in the history of the game. People would start talking about Johnny Bench and the strikeouts, just like Donnie did, and my grandmother would be like, "Shh, that's not polite. He did a lot of great things." Yes, we know, we love Johnny Bench, but Grandpa. He had that way about him that everybody loved him. So many people come up to us and say, "I never met your grandfather, but he meant this to me. He inspired me. He touched my life in some way." And I think it's just because he was just such a everyman kind of guy, and there was something about his life that everyone could identify with. He was a first-generation Italian immigrant. He volunteered to serve in the Navy in World War II before he had a chance to be drafted. He was playing in Norfolk for the Tars, and he literally walked over to the naval base and enlisted with a pro contract in his hand, and he ends up as a machine gunner off of Omaha Beach on an LCSS, providing cover fire for our troops going ashore in the D-Day invasion. I say a lot that yeah. I don't know that he would have looked at it this way, but when you go through an actual life and death situation, 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth with the bases loaded, that's not pressure. He looked at that as opportunity. How many of these guys can I drive in? And he did it better than anybody when the chips were down. Grammy used to tell us that there was a story about them driving in the car, and he said that something about if I had really tried, in the early innings, I would have been a lot better than I was. And he just didn't care about playing when the game wasn't on the line. It's crazy. But as great as he was as a ball player, he really was a better human being. Like Donnie said, it didn't matter if you were like his grandkid, the UPS guy, a waiter, and many presidents of the United States that he had a chance to interact with. He treated everybody the same. He was the absolute best at what he did without ever for a moment thinking he was better than anybody else. And we have the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center on the campus of Montclair State University in New Jersey. If anyone wants to come, look me up. I'll give you a tour. I mean that. I like talking about him because I want people to remember him for the player that he was and the human being that he was. But we tell all the kids who come, like, you can look at all this stuff that's here. We've got all 27 Yankees World Series rings and Grandpa's MVP plaques and gloves and jerseys and yada yada. But his real legacy is in the way he treated people. He didn't know how to not be good. And I tell all the kids, it's a really high bar. Like, every day, I feel like I have, I'll never reach that bar. You let him down in some way. But I tell the kids, if you just try to do a little better, to be a little bit better every day, that's his legacy. His legacy is in that effort, in the way we try to do better for the people around us and for ourselves every day. And I'm going to stop talking before I start crying. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. He would love this. He would love talking to all you coaches over here about baseball at every level. Anyway, thank you.